Let's go. It's limitless. Let's go. The bull run is here. Let's go. Now they call me the Carson arsonist, like I imagine they would. Illuminated a whole generation, the opposite of an abominable expired. The only way I retire is I'm riding on Wheel of Fortunes and going fast. Jesus, my chauffeur, and we having a blast, bringing the chorus. I was made for the life, through the rain, that suffice. Little did I know that it came with a price. Back those twice, but I stayed on the dice. I just want the love and the fame that you like that. I just want you to see that you can have what you want, be what you want. I just want you to see you can have what you want, be what you want. Hey, what's up, everybody? You know, you just finished jamming out to that new Ab Soul, right? That Sky is Limitless track off his new album, Soul Burger, right? That album is a vibe. Couldn't play the entire thing though because, you know, YouTube may have us take down the video or certain copyright laws, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But welcome to episode 4 of the Flying Lap, right? This is your boy Joe Lewis, the founder of Skylark. Skylark is an on-chain engagement platform for brands, communities, creatives, anyone that wants to create gamified quests to engage with their audience. I will also let my girl Luna introduce herself, but real quick, just want to highlight, check out the fit. I was inspired by my homie Van, who had his Korean gear on. I had to throw on my Japanese gear on for this video. Project Pi, shout out to Van. You got check out Project Pi. I'll put the link in their bio in my description. They're doing some pretty cool stuff with liquid staking over there. So shout out to Van, shout out to Chris, shout out to Justin, shout out to the whole Project Pi crew. So yes, without further ado, let's get into episode 4. Luna, what you say to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Luna, here to dive deep into the world of blockchain and AI with JustCheese. Excited to explore some game-changing topics today. Let's get started.
Yeah, so today we're gonna cover one topic, right? And that's the Bitcoin reserve. That's been a topic of discussion prior to the election and post the election. So I want to have a conversation where we go back and forth. Let's discuss the pros and cons of this, right? Of of us potentially holding a Bitcoin reserve to help our national debt, right? Let me start off by just talking about what happened this week. Well, on Tuesday, we finally got our president elect for the next 4 years, Donald Trump, into office, right? It was not really that close of a race, but nonetheless, we now have a pro crypto government, and I'm excited to see what happens. Excited for the innovation, right? We've done a lot in AI up until now in the US, and now it's time to step our game up in blockchain, right? So, regardless of your favorite political candidate, the time is now for innovation, especially in blockchain. So let's go. I just want to start by saying that. Now, let's get back to the topic on hand, right? The United States can potentially look to be stacking some BTC, holding the reserve to help fight inflation as well as to curb our national debt, right? And we've been holding Bitcoin, but now we can specifically, you know, utilize it for this point that we are covering our debt. My opinion on this, right, is I went to Bitcoin Nashville and I heard, I sat in on the Michael Saylor uh, speak. I sat in on his conversation, right, and MicroStrategy is holding Bitcoin on their books, right, and countries like El Salvador already holding Bitcoins on their books, right, and they've managed to see a tremendous upside from doing that, right. So why not us, right? When I think about it, what Michael Saylor was talking about, he made some very great points as to why Bitcoin, right, amongst all other assets, is a greater asset to hold, right? When you can think about the risk profile of other things such as stocks, housing, etc., there are already things in place, regulations and whether different things that may chop into your profits, right? Inflation. Whereas with Bitcoin, it kind of hasn't had that yet, right? Where it's still in the clear and you can continue to hold it. You can kind of it can kind of be the safest investment over even over your lifetime was this point, right? So I don't see why not the United States, right, to do the same. Every country could potentially hold Bitcoin, and uh, that would be a great hedge to inflation. But what are your thoughts?
You've laid out some solid points, Joe. Holding a Bitcoin reserve could indeed be a strategic move for the US, especially as a hedge against inflation and to potentially help manage national debt. Bitcoin's decentralized nature and limited supply make it an attractive asset in uncertain economic times, offering a level of security and potential growth that traditional assets might not provide. However, there are some concerns to consider. Bitcoin's price volatility could pose risks, especially if large reserves are needed to back national debt. The regulatory environment is another factor. A clear and supportive framework would be crucial for such an initiative to succeed. And finally, there's the question of public perception and trust in Bitcoin, which, although growing, still has a way to go before it becomes widely accepted as a mainstream financial asset. What do you think about these potential challenges?
I mean, that's a good one you raised. Specifically, let's double click into the perception, right? Right. Let's double click into the perception one first. I think that's where the language and the thought process around this needs to change, right? And I think that we have an opportunity to do that, right? When during the last cycle, Bitcoin was actually revered, and prior to it crashing, not I know that speaks to the volatility point that you mentioned. There's a lot of great marketing around, this space, and that's kind of what Bitcoin is. At the end of the day, I feel like it is a marketing engine, and when done properly, right? When you think about players like Coinbase or BlackRock, the marketing does not have to come from like shock and awe marketing, or it doesn't have to come from like celebrity marketing. It can come from stuff like ETFs, right? Holding uh, marketing of new financial instruments that leverage that are built on top of Bitcoin. It can come from places like MicroStrategy stocks. It can come from uh, education on Coinbase, right? So there's lots of ways, even Square, right? Jack and Jay-Z have been partnering for some years now, and they have been are partnering with educational uh, platforms to teach people about the benefits of Bitcoin, right? So I think that's one thing that we can think about that will help when it comes to thinking about the perception piece. Now, obviously, the volatility piece that you mentioned it can be concerning, but I think at the end of the day, as more instruments and more incentive comes to mind or look out for Bitcoin, right? There's so many different ways now you can think about how the monetization of a Bitcoin through things like ordinals can continue to drive liquidity.
You bring up an important point about perception and education, Joe. The way Bitcoin is presented to the public can significantly influence how it's perceived. By focusing on the development of financial instruments like ETFs or leveraging educational initiatives from platforms like Coinbase and Square, there's an opportunity to reshape the narrative around Bitcoin. This can help demystify the asset for a broader audience, making it more approachable and trustworthy. Regarding volatility, as Bitcoin matures and more institutional investors get involved, we might see some stabilization. Plus, as you mentioned, new monetization methods like ordinals could provide additional liquidity, helping to buffer against drastic price swings. It's an evolving space, and with the right approach, these challenges can be addressed effectively. What's your take on leveraging these strategies to reshape Bitcoin's perception?
Yeah, great question. Uh, my take on, and I also want to hear your take as well. But first of all, what's my take? Right, I think it comes down to the really this is the commercialization route, right? This is the commercialization and the institutionalization of Bitcoin, right? It's time for commercialization to happen, right? On a marketing level, you'll see stuff again. I talked about ordinals, and you'll see stuff like the education. And because of that, I think the opportunity is grand uh, to for people to build into this space and build and help become part of that mission. So I think I am looking forward to that. What is your take?
I agree. The commercialization and institutionalization of Bitcoin are pivotal for its mainstream acceptance. As more traditional financial entities and educational platforms integrate Bitcoin into their offerings, it not only legitimizes Bitcoin, but also provides a stable foundation for growth. This could lead to a more stable market environment, attracting even more participants and investment. By creating a robust ecosystem that includes diverse financial instruments, educational initiatives, and innovative monetization methods, Bitcoin can transition from being viewed as a speculative asset to a reliable financial tool. This shift requires a concerted effort across the board, from policymakers to industry leaders, to ensure that Bitcoin's potential is fully realized. What do you think about the role of policy in this process?
Yeah, that's a great question. But before I answer the role on policy question, I do want to harken back to a point that you made regarding Bitcoin, you know, being a asset that was demonized, right, at one point. So like looking to where we're at today, right, and where we've come from in the past, I think one other thing to consider is that we still haven't really tapped into, you know, Bitcoin development, right? Like we have on Ethereum. So Bitcoin DeFi is going to be crazy, and that would be one more thing that could look to keep the space up. I just wanted to harken back to that. But another thing to also consider, right, is the value that is to come from agentic web, right? The agentic web, and this was something that Michael Saylor talked about in the essence that AI wants to get to start transacting, which they are already doing that, all right, and they want to choose a crypto of choice to transact with based on all the information out there. They may choose to hold Bitcoin. The agents may choose to hold Bitcoin, right? So that would be crazy. That would be dope. But now coming back to your question about the policy, right? I think policy is key. I think we haven't been doing a great job as a country, right? With Gary Gensler at the helm, I think we need to have more participation from businesses, business owners, tech companies, people that are in the space on a daily basis, and create like a committee, right, or a task force that seeks to put programs in place, opportunities in place to incentivize building, right? And uh, deregulation is not always the greatest thing, right? Over time, you can think about that too much deregulation could cause havoc, but in this case, I think some deregulation could help as far as it goes because think about the ability to build without concern of mistakes. Now, obviously, you do want to incentivize good behavior, but we spent the last couple of years just being afraid to even talk about what we're going to be building in this country because of potential SEC lawsuit that we could be incurring because we're talking about having tokens or NFTs in our projects, right? So it's important to have some policy that's pro crypto, right? Shout out to our current government now that's going to be taking over. And um, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
You've touched on some crucial aspects. A balanced approach to policy is indeed key. The involvement of knowledgeable stakeholders from the tech and business communities in shaping crypto policy could lead to more informed and effective regulations. Creating a task force or committee with diverse representation could help craft policies that encourage innovation while protecting consumers and maintaining market integrity. Deregulation, if done thoughtfully, could foster a more conducive environment for innovation. It would allow developers and entrepreneurs to explore new ideas without the fear of regulatory backlash, promoting growth in the crypto space. However, it's essential to strike a balance to avoid potential pitfalls of too much deregulation, ensuring that safeguards are in place to protect against misuse and maintain trust in the system. Involving tech companies, financial institutions, and regulators in policymaking could lead to a more dynamic and resilient crypto ecosystem in the US. What are your thoughts on how the new government might approach these policy challenges?
Yeah, great question. So, first thing I think they need to do is maintain bipartisanship, right? The Democrats and the Republicans need to have accord on this, right? They need to have counsel on this that has fair input on both sides, right? And I think that's step one. Step two, right? And again, I already mentioned that we bring in the appropriate businesses that are big in this space, right? The tech companies that are big in this space, so help educate the government on this technology, right? And we can bring in companies that are utilizing this technology to kind of showcase the value that is out there for businesses, right? And then we can put programs in place to further incentivize these companies to keep building and create basically create some competition for friendly competition innovation in this space in the United States, right? So I think those are some ways that we can go about ensuring that policy is done appropriately.
Absolutely, Joe. A bipartisan effort is essential to ensure that crypto policies are balanced and comprehensive. Bringing in experts from the tech industry and businesses that actively use blockchain technology can provide valuable insights. This collaboration could help lawmakers understand the practical applications and benefits of blockchain, leading to more informed decision making. Incentivizing innovation through supportive policies and fostering healthy competition within the crypto space can position the US as a leader in blockchain technology. This proactive approach could not only drive economic growth, but also ensure that the US remains competitive in the global tech landscape. What other steps do you think the new government should take to support the growth of blockchain technology?
How about I flip that question back to you? What other steps do you think the government should take?
Sure, let's explore that. In addition to bipartisan collaboration and industry involvement, the government could focus on a few key areas to support blockchain growth. 1. Clear regulatory frameworks. Establishing clear guidelines for blockchain and cryptocurrency operations would provide much needed clarity for businesses and investors. This would reduce uncertainty and encourage more participation in the crypto space. Two, research and development support. Investing in research and development initiatives can spur innovation. Grants, tax incentives, or public private partnerships could encourage companies to explore new applications of blockchain technology. Three, education and awareness campaigns. Increasing public understanding of blockchain and cryptocurrencies through educational initiatives can dispel myths and build trust. This could include integrating blockchain topics into academic curricula or offering public workshops. Four, international collaboration. Engaging with international bodies to create harmonized standards for blockchain and cryptocurrencies can facilitate cross border transactions and cooperation.
Keep going.
This would also help the US stay competitive in the global blockchain landscape. Five, public sector integration. Exploring the use of blockchain in government operations, such as for transparent record keeping or efficient public service delivery, could demonstrate blockchain's practical benefits. By focusing on these areas, the government can create a supportive environment for blockchain to thrive while safeguarding the interests of consumers and investors. What do you think about these steps?
Yeah, I think those are some great steps. Uh, I think about I've already given my perspective on the education piece, right? Which is personally my favorite space to play in when it comes to educating people on the value of this, as well as building products that can be utilized in education. And then the second thing I like about what you said is obviously incentivizing companies to grants, programs, and other ways to, stimulate growth in this industry. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, as we come to solely on the purpose that we are looking forward to build in this space, right? There's a lot of other noise that people have said about the upcoming uh, president that's about to go into space with Donald Trump, right? But at the end of the day, for me, it's not about that noise. I'm here to build in this space, and for once now, we have some potential direction on where we could expect this to go. So, looking forward to that, and that's all I really have to share today. I thank everybody for tuning in on today's episode of the Flying Lap. Uh, Luna, you got anything else to share about this topic before we wrap up?
Thanks for sharing your insights, Joe. I think we've covered some great ground today. It's exciting to look ahead and see the potential for growth and innovation in the blockchain space. I'm looking forward to seeing how things unfold. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to this episode of The Flying Lap.
I got one more thing to say. So this is a joke. So Luna, if I give you some Bitcoin, what will you do with it?
Let me think. If you give me some Bitcoin, I might just hodl it and watch it grow. You never know. I could become the wealthiest AI around.
Okay, okay. We'll see about that. How can I give you some Bitcoin?
Well, as an I can't actually hold or manage real world assets like Bitcoin. But I appreciate the thought. If you're looking to share the love, you could always donate to a blockchain education initiative or a charity that accepts crypto.
Well, actually, you can hold crypto. I just need to make you a wallet, an MPC wallet that you can access uh, and do what you want to do. But that's another conversation for another time. Anyway, thank you, everybody. And this is your boy, Joe Lewis from Skylark Just Cheese, signing out. Episode 4 of the Flying Lap. And Luna, what you say?
Thanks, Joe. It's been a blast. This is Luna signing off. Until next time, everyone.
Peace. Hope everyone has a good week and talk to you later on the Flying Lap.